had great ideas of like randomly allocating questions, but then I thought about it
Uh-huh.
and ah, I don't think that's the right approach. So I'm glad everyone's here. The reason I don't think it's the right approach is that based on yesterday's meetings, different areas of focus kind of fell out naturally, and I think that's good. And I also wanted to talk about and by the way, so I wanted to talk about the meeting tomorrow. I wanted to share my thoughts, ideas, opinions, but
Okay.
also what I wanted to do was just highlight the fact that you know what, while I have some experience and stuff, every situation's different. Every group of people are different. So your ideas, your thoughts, uh, are valuable, and you know, feel feel free to share them. Feel free to share them. We'll get stuck in, and so what I want to do today is talk about what I perceive to be the goals of the meeting tomorrow. Um, how we as a group can benefit from that and contribute to those goals, and what comes after that, right? Um, and kind of share what I've noticed so far. And then, yeah, then just get set up. I already scheduled just a pre-meet tomorrow, just so that we could kind of swap ideas. Um, the first meeting with the client is always an important meeting. It's important because everybody's kind of figuring everybody else out a little bit, right? Because you know yourself, it's like, okay, well, who is this person? How are they interacting? What's going on? And normally with a client, obviously they have some intention of using your services or whatever. So, and uh, if everything goes absolutely perfectly, and Bob and folks are actually in the market for it, which they may not be, then this would be part of that 1099 opportunity that we could all benefit from.
Mm.
But it won't be the first thing we ask, right?
Right, of
It won't
course.
be. It won't even be the thing we bring up.
Yeah,
We will all just pretend that we didn't. We're not there for that reason.
yeah.
Which is, I have to say, the piece of the job that I like the most is the people interaction, both on the sales side, because I will tell you that no matter what your job title or official role, you're always in sales. Um, you just
Selling
are.
yourself.
Yeah. Well, you're selling your ideas. You know what I mean? If you have ideas worth selling, then you're selling them. Because and to me, if you're doing something where none of your ideas count or are included in your job, that's a fairly shit job to be
Yeah.
doing. you know, um, so you know, yeah, that's it. Whether you're just the most junior BA or whether you're a VP, I can absolutely tell you that if you're a VP, because obviously I've been a VP, um, as a VP, you get to make far fewer decisions than anyone else in the room.
Right.
It becomes pure influence, um, which shocks some people. It's like, well, aren't you in charge? No, no, I'm just the chief facilitator. I don't get to actually make any decisions. I don't even
Yeah.
get to write the memos anymore. Um, but um, but at the same time, you do. You get it's in. This becomes a much more subtle art. So I kind of like this because it's rough and tumble. We're in the middle of things. Um, um, so the goal of tomorrow, more than anything else, is one, to really understand Bob and his team, right, as people, and to understand, okay, where are they in their journey as it relates to the technologies that they're using, right?
Hmm.
I am amazingly curious. I'm really curious about, okay, well, what are they up to? How are they up to it? what are they seeing? What are they seeing in the world? What are they seeing? And so, our goal really is to engage with these folks as people, to really want to and demonstrate an interest in their business.
Uh-oh.
And as the third tier, to understand their technology and how they're using it, right? We're not, I've tried to be pretty clear that we're not trying to come to them with a solution.
Yeah.
There is nothing, in my opinion, quite as annoying as somebody coming to you with, here's the solution to your problem. Would you like to tell me about your problem?
Right.
Right? Because you haven't heard me yet. You don't know who I am. You don't know what I'm doing. But you're telling me
Nobody likes door-to-door salesmen.
No.
Yeah.
But there's so I think, yeah, that's again, it's worth saying. I know it seems obvious, but you'd be surprised at the number of times that folks will just try to force in. That's not my style. It's other people's style. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So let's talk about the specifics of that, right? So we only have an hour, and we want to keep it to an hour because one of the things that we should be able to demonstrate is, hey, if we have a schedule, we stick to it, right? And if we're running over and we're unorganized in the first encounter, that creates an impression that we're going to be over and unorganized in every encounter. And you don't really want to do that, right? Okay. They don't want to do that, but they also know, you guys are students and we're all learning. So we don't have to pretend to be what we're not. We should just be what we are. We should be as good at what we are as we can be, but being inauthentic doesn't help them. It's another one of my philosophicals. I have a bag, kind of imperative. Just be what you are, but just be the best at what you are. That's it. And if you can do that, then things will work out because, well, you're just being yourself, and that's usually the easiest thing to be. Okay, so specifics. I'm going to just kind of introduce the group. I'm going to introduce the goals, just like I did here. I'm going to express that curiosity. One of the things I noticed things that you should always do when you're going to meet with a client, right? Or an interview, or just encounter any human, right? There are a lot more tools now for that than there used to be. So the first thing you do is you get on the website, right? Generally, a website is that company's expression of itself, right? Mm-hmm. So if they have company history, you read that. If they have a description of the people, you read that. Just generally get a feel for how they wish to engage with their customers, what they put forward as themselves, because that's usually how they wish to project. So you definitely want to each take a look at the website, JPS Graphics. Make sure you have looked at it and you've formed your own thoughts on it. That's thing one. Then thing two is, and as much as possible, just, like you would if it was a date. I believe I haven't dated in a long time. Google the individuals that you're meeting. Understand what they've published. Understand a little bit about them. Again, just so that you have some background. Don't form very strong ideas. Just form impressions.
Right.
That's kind of just a basic setup. If they're a publicly traded company, I would always get onto Yahoo Finance, look up their stock symbol, and you will find usually a fair amount of just interesting information about that, like how much money they're making, whatever.
Okay.
So what I will share with you, for instance, is I looked at JPS Graphics. One of the things they offer their customers is a portal. That's quite technically sophisticated to be able to kind of create an affiliate model where, you know, they're branding their customers' portals, but having that be a way for their customer to order with them, right? So they've obviously got some sort of federated security model going on there. It'll be very, so that also speaks to a level of IT sophistication that we wouldn't want to underestimate, right? So definitely I want to be drawing that out to say, okay. And Bob mentioned in one of his early emails that they do their own MIS. And it's interesting that he used the term MIS, which, as we all know, is Management Information System, rather than IT. And also, as the CEO, the fact that he's using those terms means that he has some pretty good knowledge of IT.
Yeah.
Right? So again, just want to make sure walking into that we don't assume a lack of knowledge on his part. But I will say, as somebody to work with, that is a gift from heaven, because it is very hard to, and I'm sure you've done this with your relatives, it is very hard to manage somebody's expectations if they don't have a clue, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, why can't you fix my 10-year-old laptop that doesn't have the right operating system in 5? And you're like, because it's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And also, look, you wouldn't tell someone who works for Ford that you need your fucking spark plugs changed. I don't know how to do that. It's not what I do. But I digress. But you can also get that with the, well, I read on a magazine on a flight somewhere that I could have like AI, and I want some AI. And you're like, to do what, mate? And you're like, so I digress, but what I'm saying is having someone that actually has some tech savvy is actually much better than having someone who doesn't, in my opinion.
Yes.
But you don't always get that choice. You just get what you get. So part of that is just feeling each other out to understand. I mean, these guys probably don't need anything we have to. Is my bottom line here. At the same time, this guy Bob has lined up some of his people because he has some intellectual curiosity about, okay, well, what is this Dynamics thing? What's going on? And he wants to help this group out. So that's lovely. And we want to make sure that we respect his time and we get as much of him and his people as he will let us have. And then if we can do him some good, we will. And if we can't, sure, we won't. And no harm, no foul. So that's what's going on. My real goal from this meeting is to get another one. Right? More than anything else. Let's get another one or another couple, or just be entertaining, at least entertaining, and we'll give them another couple hours. Okay. And if we can learn some things, let's learn them, right? So there you go. That's what we're at, right? So I'm going to do the talking stick thing where what I've done is I've taken the questionnaire. So what you do not want to do, lads, is go through the questionnaire question by question.
Yeah.
They already have that. We can say, hey, these are kind of the things we're looking for, but I don't want to do that. What I'd like to do is kind of, I'll show you. And again, another thing I'll share with you, and you've probably noticed this in your own lives, certainly with me. One day, I will take the time to do things as thoroughly and as well as they are in my head. But until then, I'll just manage with less time to do the things as well as I would like. So here we are with the spreadsheet with the questions and questionnaire. The first thing I want to say is have in your head the reason you're asking the question, right? As in what it is you're trying to get to. right? And I'm going to say I'm going to set the scene at the beginning of the meeting. It's one of my things, which is going to be just kind of roughly what I said there, which is, look, our goal is really to understand your business, understand how you're using the technology. This is a student-led project where we're trying to set up a reference for the print industry and do a couple of components that we think are valuable. And, we'd like to get your thoughts on if they are valuable. So we'll kind of leave it at that. And then I'm going to, introduce each of you to say, Hunter, Kyle, I'll wing it ever so slightly. Right. So I've broken this up. We've got, as you noticed, we've got sales, marketing, operations, and finance and accounting, right? And then I was playing with the names, but I figure Hunter, on the sales and marketing, Hunter and Kyle and Dor, right? Because we can get into this. There's 5 of you. There's 3 sections, but some sections are bigger than others, right? And the designation is slightly arbitrary, but not, right? So I'm thinking this has more of the technology, and I think, Hunter, you're more interested on the back end technology, but I also know that Kyle, you're interested in other bits too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get too hung up on Nick and Kyle for that bit. Victor and Jonathan for the finance and accounting. We'll get into it, right? But anyway, so what I would say is, why are we asking the questions is, so I would just express that on the sales and marketing, maybe Hunter, you lead, and then Kyle, you kind of pick a place to kind of jump in, or to I don't know, to supplement or follow up.
Gotcha.
What we're looking for there is, so rather than these specific questions, who manages the process of bringing new customers on board, it's more, could you please just describe your sales process? How do you typically, how do you increase your sales? How do you bring on new customers? What's your sales process? That's really what we're looking for here. And you can express the reason that we're looking for this is, so that we can understand how, what's the customer onboarding or offboarding, or do you do campaigns? You know what I mean? And actually, there's a nice break there, Kyle, where you might be able to come in, which is the whole portal question. And maybe, Kyle, you can raise that portal question. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And again, it does the fact that you provide, because what I'm looking for there too is, if it would strike, maybe portals are not important. Maybe I just noticed and went, Jesus, that's interesting. And then they're like, yeah, we thought it would be too, but no one uses it. You know what I mean? Until we know we don't, and I don't want to make too many assumptions, because that's an integration point with the system that we're putting together. And the question becomes, well, how do we make sure that's a point of continuity, that the system would support it, and that does get into some of the back end pieces to that. You know what I mean? It becomes a purely technical thing, and especially around, say, who manages the portal? If it's the customer, how? You know what I mean? And how would we continue that? Especially, it's just interesting. That's all I'll say. So I think that, it's like, here's the sales process, bringing customers on. Is it large, medium, small? Is it a lot of customers? On the website, they mentioned that they have people in state and out of state. So they have, they mentioned the different markets they supported. I noticed that pretty much every one of them got flattened by COVID. So, maybe the reason they have time to talk to us is that they have time to talk to us. So, so it's just that. And what that will do is, in a general way, it will answer what these questions are driving towards, right? If they don't mention about quotes or revising quotes, it would be worth bringing up. And of course, that has to do with our, our estimates, right? We do want to get an answer on estimating, is it all quote driven? Is that actually correct? You know what I mean? There's just a couple of follow-up questions if they don't, if as they're going through it, they don't mention. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good. So that's that section. We're going to keep it pretty. If I'll probably be the role, because I can get away with it. It's the accent, lads. It's the accent. Is I'll be the kind of timekeeper. So,
Sure.
So we're going to keep this to, and I'm going to tell them that. It's like, look, we're going to keep the preliminaries to 10 to 15 minutes per section. Not because we think that that's the amount of time it will take, but that's the amount of time we have. We respect everybody's time, and we would love to have a follow-up, right?
Mm-hmm.
That way, too, I can say, okay, well, whatever we've got. We're now going to move on. Mm-hmm. So I think, Kyle, Nick will come in, and we'll talk about operation. Mm-hmm. And you can see that because we're talking a bunch about quotes and estimates and kind of customer interaction, that brings it neatly into operation, right? And kind of, Nick, I know that. So, for instance, maybe around this part, like what you're interested in here is, okay, walk me through, kind of a quote or order to delivery. You probably noticed too that they do their own they do logistics and distribution on behalf of customers. Well, that's very interesting. They also mentioned that they do like inventory management on behalf of customers. That is tough to do. Mm-hmm. When you think about it, you've got to segregate your inventory in your warehouse, and I think it's a 51,000 square foot warehouse. Hey, have you noticed how much information you can glean from a website? We haven't even met them yet, but there's a lot of information you can figure out from just inferring. But a lot of this is also just confirming, okay, is that true? Is that how you go about things? You know what I mean? So maybe, Kyle, you're backing off a little bit and letting Nick have a piece of this around bombs. Do they use bill of materials? How heavily do they use them? Do they use routes? When you get in, when you get an order or a quote, you go about fulfilling it. And then this also gets into, are your materials staged? Are you pulling them in? Do you have some in stock? That kind of area. So it's that production area. This also gets into scheduling, right? And I know, Jonathan, you have a place in there. Yeah. So maybe you start to talk about a little bit about, what happens if a schedule changes, or just kind of get into how that works, right?
Okay.
And I'm just intrigued too. Are they? Because different businesses have different. I want to call it cadences, right? So it's like sometimes it's like, okay, are you guys very seasonal? Do you get like, I'm wondering if they do even labels, or how do they? Because some people, like, they mentioned retail. Retail is extraordinarily seasonal, right? Yeah. Everything happens around Black Friday through Christmas. They talk about. I won't ask. I'll just tell you. And sorry if this is old news. The reason it's called Black Friday is that most retailers have to maintain a storefront and people in the store. They don't actually make money until November. So they're in the red until November. And then they make 40 to 60% of their revenue between Black Friday and the sales in January.
Wow.
So you can imagine what that looks like. They're doing a huge amount of business in a very short period of time. So how do you have to have very flexible processes, but I wonder how they fill out the rest of their year. It also has implications for the system, though, because you need to be able to flex up and then back down. I'm just, a SaaS system may work for them well on that. It may not. Just, you know, it changes a lot of things. For instance, they may be bringing on a bunch of people now, or kind of a Christmas rush. They may not have a Christmas rush. So all of these things are relevant to how they structure their business, but also tie back into how we design the system. You with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if I'm bringing a bunch of people on, I need a good mechanism to do that. And then if I'm flexing using overtime, see part-time overtime, I need to have that be very smooth, right? And that means that we focus on making that a very smooth process in the system. Now, again, the guys may not use the system, but it's something that, just allows us, it's a vast system, allows us to focus on these things. And, what I want to say is, look, what we want to do is understand areas of pinch points, areas of requirements, and just bring that back to you. Because if they were a real client, that is what we would be doing. You with me? Good. So that's Nick and Kyle. That's kind of the focus of that area. And again, what you're trying to do is you're not asking these exact questions. You're kind of mentioning, well, talk to me about do you use them, right? That way it's an open question. It's not a lot, you're prompting, you're doing the opposite of what I seem to do at every one of our bloody meetings, which is talk your legs off. The last thing in the world you want is to hear your own voice in this meeting.
Yeah.
You want to keep your questions very short, very open, and you want to kind of prompt, draw out. There is and within the framework, you know what I'm saying? So they may talk about bombs, in which case you don't have to ask them about bombs, right? If they don't, though, you might mention it, say, well, do you use bombs? The key things to get out of this are bombs, seasonality, overtime, and part-time, right? Have a think about the things you want to draw out. And then, Kyle, like you want to do a good link, right?
Yeah.
And Hunter, you're kicking off, and what you're interested in too is the security, the networking, the connectivity around the portals and stuff. You know what I mean? So each of you has an area that you have demonstrated, to me at least, some interest in, but also because it gives them a sense of who's doing what. People like things to be ordered. It gives them a sense of that, right? So Jonathan, you're coming in here and you're linking, right? And then Jonathan and Victor, you're talking about finance and accounting, right?
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting to see if that's very few people understand their business end to end, and this may be something. So the link here between, say, operations and finance and accounting is around WIP, which is work in progress. We do want to get into, okay, so you've got the product. How do you get paid for it, right? How does that work? You ordered materials. How do you pay for them? You know what I mean? That gets into AR and AP. Could you just kind of describe your, that part of the process? Do you guys have a monthly, quarterly, or annual close? I'll bet you it's a monthly close. I've never heard of anything other than that, but hey, you never know. related to the people that they're hiring. Do they outsource their payroll? You know what I mean? So kind of the financials and what's going on there. Sales tax is always fun. Banking and how are they functioning on the banking? Is that sophisticated? Is it not? Is it something they care about? Just do they do competitive bids? What's their relationship with the vendors? How are they doing? They may even outsource all of their accounting and say, oh, we do most of, XYZ do most of our accounting for us. I have no idea. And that's obviously why we're there.
Yeah.
So, take as many notes as possible as we're going through it. Metrics are important, right? So he talked about, metrics, especially around profitability and cash.
Excuse me real quick. I have to take a call real quick.
Yeah, no worries. The lads will catch you up. So metrics, profitability, KPIs, usually the finance folks are doing those, but it may be that comes up in operations. Right?
Mhm.
Then, we'll say, well, this has been, really helpful. What we're going to do, what I'm going to say is last 5 or 10 minutes, so we'll keep the times tight, is, we're going to take our notes. We're going to, and we are, by the way, I'm telling them I'm telling you and them what we're going to do, which is take our notes, take our ideas, apply that to tweaking the system, but also maybe have some follow-up meetings on specific areas if possible, and again, want to respect their time.
Right.
Then, obviously, that because, you've all had at least 20 minutes to look at Business Central, that the system can do all this.
Yeah.
It's which bits we need to focus on, because if we tried to get BC to do everything it possibly can, we'd have a 2-year project and we'd all be extraordinarily bored with it by the end. It's a matter of picking the pieces that matter and making sure they work well. And then, at some stage, I would love to kind of bring this back, do a demo, like just show, hey, here's areas, here's, you were curious about Business Central, D365. This is it, and show them that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, what do you think, guys? Does that make sense? What's your thought? What should we chat about? By the way, I'll send you the spreadsheet.
Yeah, thank you. I know you said it's mostly arbitrary, the questions and stuff, but I think you had me with operations to go over that, but you had me listed as finance to talk about. I mean, I can talk about either one, but I just figured it'd probably be better to keep us asking the questions and what we're focused on in the project.
And which
because I think you had Nick in finance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in finance, but you have me in work in the operations section.
Change it around.
I know you said it was mostly arbitrary, but I just figured it might be a little
No. Nick, sorry about that, man.
You're fine.
I consider it bad note.
Because they kind of, there's some overlap.
Well, there is, but that's the beauty of why we're doing this, which is to say, okay, Nick, I have now hard-coded you finance. I know we talked about it yesterday, but my short.
Was it yesterday? That felt so long ago.
Exactly. So if I forget something, feel free to remind me. Shit. Okay, excellent. Good. And yeah, good. Anything else?
I think that was it.
Yeah,
it looks good.
Good. And as I said, just have a think about the questions are a good structure, but as I said, the key is you guys have, between now and then, and I'll send the questions because you can read the questions, but it's more the intent, right?
Yeah.
And it's there's at least 3 layers to a meeting, right? And the most important is building rapport. Is first of all, who's answering the operations question, right? Because that's probably your operations contact, right? What is Bob's relationship to them? Because he's the sponsor. Is he interrupting them? Is he letting them speak? What is the dynamics, right? That's almost as important as the answers. The answers are important though, because this is a true fact finding. Let's find out what's going on effort. And then key 2 would be, as I said, if you're doing a lot of the talking, it's because it's not working.
Yeah.
And if I'm doing a lot of the talking, lads, it's because it's a friggin' disaster.
Yeah.
Which can happen. I have stories I could tell you. Jeez. I remember one where I was this Irish guy. We were trying to sell to Hewlett Packard, and there was 2 Americans with me, and one of them was a New Yorker, just the epitome of a New Yorker, which I didn't completely understand at that stage.
I'm sorry. I have to apologize for everybody from the East Coast.
So
My family comes from Jersey, so I know how they can be.
yes.
Yeah.
And we were doing a demo, and it was a very interesting company. I've been very lucky in my career. This is where we had a bunch of, like, essentially former Soviet, like, kind of refugees, some German, some Irish. The Soviet guy, like, he had designed, because the fall of the Soviet Union, he was like a very, very senior guy, but at the time there was no money, so he picked these guys up cheap. He was in Munich, and they'd done an incredible piece of technology, but it was a little glitchy. And you have the Californians, and the Californians, they like to be laid back, and especially Hewlett Packard, very polite, very nice. And this guy was losing it. He was effing, he was whining, he was like, and I was looking at him going, you are nothing like these other Americans over here. And, I remember thinking, I am culturally closer to these Californians than you are to these Californians, and you're the same nationality.
Right.
Needless to say, they politely asked that even though he was a co-owner of the company, that he not be in the next meeting. But they liked our technology enough that they were like, well, we'll talk to you, but we don't. I was like, so needless to say, that did not go well, but it went well enough to where we got the next meeting, and that went better, and we did actually close the sale. So
that's good.
So it's we don't need everything to go perfectly. We just need things to. We just need things to go at all.
Right.
But prep will allow you to be more comfortable. It also, honestly, the prep that you do will allow you to understand the system better, which means that there's an Irish phrase, knowledge is easy carried. You will not regret knowledge ever. So the prep, even if it goes nowhere, will be useful to you. I'm not saying spend the rest of your day all day doing this shit. I'm just saying take the time, do some thinking. And if you're like curious about, let me just look at a bomb, do that. Or, you know what I'm saying? Because you all have access to the system now. So I would just do that. It'll make you more comfortable in the meeting. And, what I would do too in the meeting is, pay close attention to each person, to the cadence of their voice, to where they fit, so that when you follow up with them, you'll have a feel for who they are and what they're looking for.
Right.
I think do that, and A, you'll enjoy it, and B, you'll get more out of it. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, good guys. Gonna send this. Any other
Yeah,
questions,
please.
thoughts, any comments?
No, I think
By the way,
that's
great
that was all I had.
Victor versus Nick.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was taken care of.
Good.
I was gonna say, I mean, sure, I'll talk about it. I don't know how much I can talk
Yeah.
about, but I'll talk about it.
Well, you see, that's the beauty of it. Is so. First of all, I think that all of you are going to be in the meeting too. Is you'll see about each other's areas, because
Yeah.
as I mentioned in one of my emails, and maybe I can't remember, but they are all tied together. It does flow.
Yeah.
It flows back and forth. At the same time, if you try to know everything in the system, your head would literally explode.
Yeah.
We'll say that. So it'll be very interesting. Okay, guys?
Yeah.
Good. I think I'll just send this out. If anything occurs to you, don't be shy. Just email. It's not like, I think you guys have a feel for who I am. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not offended by questions or really anything.
Right.
So, I have 4 kids. They remind me of my mortality anytime I get a little ahead of myself.
Jeez.
So it's all good. Okay. Good. Okay. We'll leave it at that. And see, we're early.
Nice.
I don't hate being early either. That's an option. I very much doubt we'll be early tomorrow, but you never know. You never know. Hey, unless you see a compelling reason, I feel like this meeting's been successful enough to where I don't think we need a pre-meet tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm going to cancel that meeting, but if anybody wants to have that time, just let me know. Okay?
Gotcha.
What time is the actual meeting? Because I don't think I accepted the invitation yet, or if I did, it just isn't showing up for me.
Mine's showing like at 9 in the morning, I think.
That's the
I think
pre-meeting.
Well, that's
I
Yeah,
think
for
that's
the
the
pre-meeting. Yeah.
Yeah,
the UNT capstone. I thought I forwarded that to everyone.
It should be on
Maybe
your
I
UNC email.
Yeah.
Should also be on the Teams calendar on the app too.
Oh.
It shows up on the calendar on the app if you have it.
Let's see.
Just check.
I will check that.
Yeah, it has like a little join button on the app.
Does it?
Okay, I see it. I
Yeah.
see it.
Mine doesn't.
12:30.
Yeah, on my app when I go to like the calendar, it shows
Oh,
all
I
the
did
meetings
accept
on there, and it has a join button on the app. On the calendar section, yeah, right there.
Oh, did I accept it?
Yeah,
Accept.
yeah, you see. Like if you click those, it should have like a little join option to like join those meetings.
See?
Call Dad. Yeah, I see it now. So good.
I don't. Okay, I'll figure that shit out. Okay, good. Good.
Yeah, works on Outlook too. Works on both for me.
Good. Okay, guys. Let me just go ahead and cancel the 9 tomorrow or 9:30.
Okay.
That gives everybody a little bit of their day back, and I will send this out shortly. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right.
Good. Cheers, guys.
Have a good
Yep,
one.
good to talk to you.
See you tomorrow.
Great talking
ya.
to you.
See you.
See ya.
Take care.